Good evening. We are live. Good evening, everyone. My name is Niki Lopez. I'm Niki Lopez Creative, and you're watching The Circle, where every Tuesday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm sharing stories of the creative community, activists, social entrepreneurs, and people doing great things in the world. And so today I have a very special guest, Morgyn Danae. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So Morgyn Danae, she's a performer. She's the owner of Little Grasshopper Productions. She's a mental health advocate and peer and dance therapist. If you know, those of you who are local who may attend some of my events, if you remember last year for the What's Your Elephant exhibition, the opening night, Morgyn shared some of her dance work with us. So I'm just going to do a little recap of your bio. So you're a dance therapist, self-care teacher, and performer. She teaches workshops and individual sessions for healing trauma and mental health recovery. Her greatest joy is sharing the magic and healing of dance and movement. She's committed to supporting women to find, nurture, and celebrate their strength and beauty. Her own recovery thrives on Healer, Heal Thyself, and Dancer, You Must Dance. It's your lifeline and medicine to share. That's awesome. So what came first? Did the mental health, you as a dancer?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I would say that being a dancer came first on my path. I always loved to dance. So that was just I was just born loving to dance. And then through, a process of really going through a healing crisis and then walking through a real powerful awakening, knowing that I really needed to heal myself. And then, several, layers and bouts of dealing with mental health issues from trauma and abuse, rooted in childhood, that, I was, driven to heal myself again, to save my own life. And in that process, it's kind of like my purpose started to evolve as I was healing myself. That calling got clearer and clearer,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just want to take a minute. I see Boomy. Love you both. Yes, Boomy. Love you too. Who was also one of the performers, DJ'd What's Your Elephant last year. So absolutely love having you here. So with the dance, how long have you been a dancer or a performer?
Okay, so that's a good...
Yeah.
'Cause I've always been a dancer. Well, you know what? I did start performing as a child, really. I really started to realize that I love performance from childhood, from doing shows in school and, really feeling a really powerful part of myself that was so joyful in performance. And so it did start at a young age. I wasn't like a child, performer in that way, but that is where it started. And then in my 20s, my later 20s is when I got more serious with performance, and it really all opened up at the same time, a calling to work with dance as a healing art. That was in the 90s.
So I'm really interested in that because, like for me, the What's Your Elephant project, even though it covers all art forms, a lot of times when we think of healing arts, we may think of visual arts or poetry and writing. How do you translate dance into healing arts and therapy?
Okay, well, partly it just has to do with the sheer joy of dance, of moving our bodies. I mean, if you look at people dancing, what comes out is it opens the heart. It changes energy. If we can see, around us, people going through so much, so shut down, so stressed out. And then you see people coming together to dance and everything changes. It's like, it's really in our human history, really. Dance has always been a form of medicine and coming together in community and sharing and at celebrations, all of that. But dance is also done mindfully, of course, with consciousness and intention. it brings us into our bodies it can bring us into our bodies in a really safe and healthy way, a way to kind of access feeling our bodies, which can be scary when we're dealing with different issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have, we've kind of cut off feeling in our bodies because our bodies hold emotions as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so getting in touch with just moving our bodies and feeling, and what comes with that is, you know, breathing,
Mm-hmm.
connecting into our centers. There's so many different layers to it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so often, yes, we've thought of dance as being kind of like in mainstream society entertainment, and it is entertainment. It is wonderful, but it is also a bridge
Mm-hmm.
to be connected to yourself on very deep levels.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, so you said that you've gone through different traumas and you healed yourself through dancing. What was that like, or what was the impact of dancing, and how did it help to heal you?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a lot of different things for healing
Mm-hmm.
as well, but you know, dance has kind of been, again, I was just born with that,
Mm-hmm.
with that, a sense of that. Dance is being medicine for me, you know,
Mhm.
and dance is being medicine for others. And so I would say, you know, dance as a spiritual practice,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a way to connect to my own soul, to my own heart, and to a greater power that beyond, I'm not talking about religion per se,
Mhm.
I respect, you know, people's religion as well, but that it is a way of connecting to a higher power, a greater power that is the source of all love and healing.
Mm.
And so letting kind of, it opens up your heart, opens up your energy to experience those different states.
Mhm.
You know, we actually can become altered through conscious dance movement, using our breath, you know,
Mhm.
working with also with the power of nature.
Mm.
That is absolutely, for me, there's no, you know, I can't really disconnect that.
Mhm.
I can maybe put it on the table and look at it as different aspects, but spirit, or a greater power, you know, higher power, and nature, the force of nature, Mother Earth, it's all connected.
Mm.
So, does that seem
Yeah.
clear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm certainly not making this up. This is, you know,
Yeah.
ancient cultures teach us this, you know,
Mhm.
indigenous cultures teach us this. I mean, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think when I think of dance, and it could be a form of meditation.
Mhm.
I remember, you know, reading years ago when Michael Jackson was alive, how he would take the whole Saturday and dance in front of the mirror the whole time to perfect himself. But I also feel that's kind of probably was grounding and
Absolutely.
meditative for him.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, you know, look at the energy that he emitted.
Mhm.
That's divine energy. I
Mhm.
mean, his gifts, what he opened up to. I mean, I see him as he was channeling
Mhm.
something really beautiful and powerful.
Mhm.
And, you know,
Mhm.
yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And can you share with us a little bit? I see also Natalie and Andrew. Thank you all for joining us. I'll just take a few minutes. I see some people on the live. If you have any questions, any comments, feedback for Morgyn, please feel free to share. I know some people are going to be watching this on the replay. You could still write questions and comments, and we'll see them and answer them. And I do have on Instagram, we're live, which is up for 24 hours. We have Pauline, and I see Benji and Alex. Thank you all for being here and joining us. If you're on Facebook, please consider sharing, tagging people. That's how we get the word out. It's a lot of great work that's coming through, and that's another way to help us grow. So, can you share with us a little bit about either, you know, some of your performance or your practice, or like, you know, can you share a little bit of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, so I have my own personal practice, you know, that is part of my self-care and part of course, my development as a dancer and an artist
Mhm.
too. But, you know, that is, you know, really, well, there are two things. talking about all this. This is great to be doing. I haven't actually shared this, but so there are kind of two different parts to it. For me, there's the part that's the physical conditioning, and there's working on the technique. And I have my drills that I do, and I work with just for choreography's sake, coming up with different kind of movements or things that I'm called to do from the music, or putting things together. But then there's also the aspect of where my dance practice is also very meditative, and it is a form of prayer for me. So it's a form of moving my body in a way that feels healing to me. I always am conscious of my breath as I'm doing that, conscious of really tapping into feeling the movement, tapping into different parts of my body, doing what feels natural, and also really feeling that gratitude in my heart. And so I dance that out. I pray through my dance movement. I'm consciously connecting with the divine, with my inner self, and then again, there's the aspect of, as a dancer, continuing to practice my craft and learn and that's got to happen. That's just a regular thing. And also making sure that I'm taking care of myself, that I'm getting enough sleep, hydrating, eating well. That's all part of the practice. And that's also part of the recovery as well, So it's kind of a whole lifestyle, really. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, then I'm not really going to enjoy the dance. I'm not really going to have the energy that I need to do what I'm doing. So that in a nutshell. But then with the choreography, sometimes it's just being moved by a piece of music and wanting to figure out how to move to it, and then seeing what comes out. Sometimes it's working with a theme that is calling me, and then the music comes, and the movement comes with it. Part of my own healing process, and what I also am called to share with others in exploring their own healing process or recovery, is I've worked with choreography to help me to explore my own recovery, my own process. Going through severe depression, going through psychosis, going through dissociation, going through a couple of different experiences of being really enmeshed in suicidal thoughts. Really, coming close. Didn't make the full physical attempt, but close enough. I don't want to come back to that again. But I also look at it as part of my training, where I got to see how close we can get, and help me to have more compassion for others who are in that place as well. But through all the twists and turns of the upheaval and the self-sabotage and all of these things over years, I found myself tracking it. And I spoke with Voices of Recovery when I was living in Portland, Maine, a wonderful nonprofit group, sharing my story with other people with lived experience of mental illness and their family members who obviously have lived experience of mental illness. And so we were sharing our stories with groups that were being oriented into the mental health system as professionals, and giving a human and lived experience testimony to that. And I spoke about my story, and your story is always evolving and changing, and it was very healing and cathartic as well. And I spoke about, from my perspective, the kinds of approach that I come with. But looking at the story, it was like, wow, there's so many twists and turns. I was still trying to process it all, and trying to come full circle, and all the fragmentation and all the loss, and coming to this place of success, and then falling apart, and the relationships that were sabotaged, and all of the things that happened, and the turmoil, and so I decided to start exploring my story through choreography, and it was very, very healing, very powerful. I mean, very emotional. I tapped into things that I wasn't tapping into. Even though I had tapped into a lot, I hadn't tapped into it in the way that I was able to by getting right into my story, in my body, in dance, which opens me up more than most things,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So so I walked through that and was right on the heels of creating that first choreography. I was blessed through another friend of mine who was in this group to find out about another nonprofit that was called Our Community of Adults in Recovery from Mental Illness and Learning Through the Arts. You know, a wonderful woman, Keenan Martin, was running the group. And so just as I was coming up with this choreography, I was invited to be a guest performer with their group. And so that was so powerful because I was able to share this choreography that was come from my guts, you know, and so healing, and share it with the people in the group and then with the showcase audience. So it really brought so much healing to other people too, and hope and inspiration and all. It was a very powerful experience. So I thought, okay, wow, this is something that I really need to keep pursuing. This feels really fulfilling, and it's serving a purpose for others as well. And so that was kind of the seeds of that expression as a dancer and choreographer.
Awesome. And let me just go. I see a couple of comments here come through. I'm going to try to. Andrew said, interesting guest. Yes, absolutely. Wendy, dance as a form of prayer. Absolutely. And I'm going to try to see if I can. Okay, so Boomy said, how do you maintain positive energy in your space in order to stay focused when there's so much of life circumstances challenging your frequency levels?
That is a great question, because boy, is that the truth. It never stops, right? I'd say at this point, because I've been to that place of really not wanting to live anymore, you know, that now I'm just absolutely determined to be healthy and to maintain my practice and maintain my connection with spirit. It doesn't mean I don't go into all kinds of different stuff. I mean, I have to work through things all the time. It's a daily process. Yeah. I mean, I go through all kinds of feelings. Yeah. I'm definitely not walking around like, all the time at all. I'm always working through stuff, always. But my commitment is to keep that connection going, and that connection to joy, and I've been very blessed to have people in my life around me who have given me amazing guidance and instruction, and I've been so blessed with that. And so, I mean, just, you know, anything that is, it's a decision, it's an inner decision. It's a praying for help, it's a asking for help, it's a paying attention to people around you, it's paying attention to signs, it's having practices, whatever meditative practices are that clear the mind, that clear the heart, that clear your energy. I'm always doing clearing of my energy, clearing of protection work as well. I work a lot with my breath work. I work with light energy. I work with visualizing different forms of light, clearing my auras, clearing my chakras, grounding. I ground with the earth every day. I talk to her. I'm always talking to the divine. I talk to all the archangels, the angels, I mean, that's really the truth. I don't assume that I can do this alone ever, because I can't, so, yeah.
But I think that's important that you say, because, a lot of times when people who experience trauma, mental illness, a lot of times they don't feel comfortable to get help.
Yes.
But two, they feel like, okay, I'm healed, everything's perfect.
Yes.
So healing is a journey, and you do have to make that commitment to say, okay, what are the things that are going to be in place for when I get to that dark place? Because if you have mental illness, in particular, you could work through those things. It doesn't mean it evaporates. You learn coping mechanisms and how to reach out, and self-care is like so important.
It's life or death, really. Yeah, it really is.
Oh, we say great response.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Yes,
good.
Absolutely. And then the breathing, because like in yoga, meditation, there's so many things that breathing is like I even saw something where it's like, based on how you breathe, you could help yourself lose weight. Like, how important is breath work?
100% important, 200% important. Yeah, it's because basically what it is tapping into what we were designed for. You know, we were designed to breathe in a way that is nourishing our bodies, is bringing in the oxygen we need, is cleansing and clearing our energy field, is cleansing and clearing our physical bodies, is toning and strengthening our core, which helps us to, you know, it's the physical core, but that's our center, you know, which is helping to regulate our nervous system, helping to regulate our nerves, calm our nerves, helping us to develop stamina and be able to cope with stress, because we don't avoid stress. We don't, you know, the thing is, we want to be, you know, this is about being stronger so we can deal with stress, so we can deal with our shadow. It's not about suppressing it all and just, you know, going into la la land. That is not going to work. It's going to come around and it's going to hit you. So, and in our times more than ever, was everything just being so concentrated. We're in our time of healing. We're in our turning point. And so, using these tools, the foundational piece being our breath work. Yeah. Yeah, because it supports our bodies and our energy fields to operate the way they were designed to operate. Because we're works of art.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. Can you share maybe like a small, like a simple breath practice that someone can do that might be helpful?
Absolutely. So, really, it starts with the belly. It starts with the belly, but it also. Okay, so I'll just do it. Instead of explain it. So, just getting comfortable in a chair or wherever you're seated, or if you're lying down as well. If you feel comfortable with touching your belly, not everybody does, so it's just an invitation. You can place your palms open gently on your belly, kind of more towards your lower belly, really. We want to kind of get down into the area that gets very neglected. And just focusing on releasing and being conscious of any tension in your upper body, in your face, just kind of allowing that to go, and taking a breath into your belly, kind of filling your belly like a balloon, and through your nose. And in this case, to the extent that you can, we're going to just exhale through the mouth. Yoga will often say just through the nose, but I'm trained in a bit different tradition, Chinese Taoist, so we're going to just do another nice breath into the belly. And a nice slow exhale through the mouth. So you're kind of emptying your belly, kind of like you're wringing out a sponge, relaxing the mouth. Sometimes people want to do a breath like, there are all kinds of ways to breathe, but in this case, we're just doing a gentle belly breathing, so diaphragmatic breath. And a slow exhale. And then we're going to take it a little deeper and feel your hips, feel your legs, and down into your feet. And, you know, ideally, you're feeling your body. Either if you're lying down, you're feeling your body connected to the ground, to the earth. You can say the earth, whether you're in a tall building or not, because the earth is way more powerful than any of these constructs. So you can feel also if you're seated, you can feel the earth through the soles of your feet. And just her presence is always there with us. She's always supporting us, always nurturing us, always sending that healing energy. So we're going to inhale again. Exhale, let that breath out, and let that energy go down into your feet, down into the center of the earth, always giving her thanks. Letting ourselves feel that nurturing protection. She'll always remind us that we are safe. And this allows you, giving yourself permission to start to slow things down. There's enough space. There's enough time. Even if you take 1 or 2 minutes, even if you know, take 5 breaths, whatever it is, just give yourself some space. To tune in to the reality that you are loved. You are loved. You are not alone. And you deserve this fresh energy, this fresh oxygen. And one more breath. Just letting your eyes gently and slowly open with a soft gaze. You can be looking down so you're not, you know, getting too much input all of a sudden. And knowing that if you're not used to this breath, that you might feel a little lightheaded, you might feel a little dizzy, you might feel a little nauseous, you might feel a little panic. Panic might come up. You might feel distracted. You might feel like, how in the heck do I not know how to breathe? This is ridiculous. But it's the way it is. It's epidemic. It's epidemic. And if we don't take the time to do it, how are we going to do it?
Absolutely. That was really good and calming. I felt that. So we have here Jared saying,
Jared.
Let's see. Says, Morgyn rocks. My wife and I were lucky enough to have her as our son's home birth. She assisted our doula. She brought such calming, healing energy to the whole birthing process. We are forever grateful for her presence.
Oh,
Wow,
thank you,
that's awesome.
Jared and Ellie.
And so Andrew, learned this many years ago and actually found myself falling asleep due to this relaxation. Wonderful, and learned to visualize and the art of imagery.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And you can apply this while you're dancing. You know, I'm kind of the crazy lady out there on the beach, in the parks, walking down the street. I just dance everywhere. I dance everywhere because I just want to, and it makes me happy. And, you know, why not? There's so many other things going on in the world, so why not dance?
Andrew said, out of the print book recommendation, Pecho Cybernetics, Dr. Maxwell Marta, last name maybe misspelled. Okay, cool. I'm going to check that out. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that breath work.
Oh, yeah. It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
Love it.
So you're the owner of Little Grasshopper Production. What is that?
Okay, well, I'm still discovering what it is completely. It's evolving. But what the purpose is it's a vehicle for my performance and workshops with the dance therapy and the recovery workshops. I have two core workshops that I offer. One is dance for healing trauma and let me get it right. Dance for recovery and healing trauma. And then the other workshop is dance your recovery story. And then the choreography or the performance not necessarily all choreographies too. Could be improv, but for as a vehicle, this is a vehicle for these healing arts, this expressive healing arts. And it's funny, the idea, it was kind of like Spirit just told me, so I'm still like figuring it out because I was dancing. And I would notice of course, I'm looking at myself in the mirror dancing. Sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm just dancing. But I noticed for me, I was seeing my body looking like, I look like a little grasshopper dancing. It's just like this little lady looking like a grasshopper. And so I was feeling like, okay, I keep noticing a grasshopper. I keep noticing grasshopper. Okay, grasshopper. Okay, grasshopper medicine is coming through. So then I looked up grasshopper. It was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I kept feeling like a little grasshopper. So grasshopper is like a muse for artists and dancers. It's actually a grounding medicine animal and insect. And it just came with all this positive energy. And I haven't really thought much about grasshoppers to speak of, but it just kind of came through, and that's what inspired it. So I got this sense that I was creating I just got guided to that. So now what I'm working on with it is connecting with people to be able to actualize it, because I've set it up. And I set it up as an LLC, just from learning from people who have nonprofits that was more the way I should go in this case. But I want to work with nonprofits. I want to work with profits. I want to work with everybody. Being able to work at conferences or through programs, different programs, festivals, benefits, community, all kinds of things here, locally, all over the country, all over the world. Really.
Absolutely. And if people are trying to get in touch with you, either for your events or workshops or services, what's the best way to reach you?
The best way is probably, there are a couple of different ways. Email is really great. MorgynDanae@gmail.com is really great.
Nice.
I look at the email. Yeah, let's just keep it at that.
Yeah.
I am on Instagram and I am on Facebook, and I do have obviously a cell phone, and texting and calling that all works too. So if
Okay. So we have the Facebook links. We have Natalie working remotely tonight, so she'll be putting in some of the links so you could join, follow Morgyn and see what she's up to. And
the Instagram is more, the Morgyn Danae Gaia Dancer is more aimed towards Little Grasshopper, or email.
Okay.
I am also a core rehab specialist and work a lot with women's health and with Morgyn Danae Wellness. But Morgyn Danae Gaia Dancer is on Instagram is really geared towards this particular.
Got it. And I see Jasmine. Hello, Jasmine. So let's see. The book is okay. Andrew is just putting more details about the book, so we could post the link. So yes, thank you for that. Information is always great, no matter where it's coming from. So, definitely. And so, what's next for you? Do you have any current workshops coming up, or events?
I don't have anything coming up. I've been putting out proposals, basically.
Got it.
So I can't really say they're happening yet. I'm, because I haven't gotten any word yet. So
Okay.
I am very open to sending proposals, to talking to people, to doing talks, to connecting and working with people. I've been back in Miami. It'll be 2 years in July. So really, it's been about connecting with people in the community and just being known that I exist and what I do, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
It's more like on the West Coast, people are more familiar, or New York, with, say, dance therapy and stuff, but people aren't as familiar here. So I'm kind of working on building that awareness. So, so I'll let you know when I do have something concrete.
Sure. So, workshops, performances, anything of that nature will probably be on your social media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, absolutely. So I have a question I always ask people, and I'm curious to see what you would say. If you had access to a time machine, where would you go? Past, present, future, and why?
Okay. That's an interesting question. Because I'm thinking of different things.
Yeah.
I know I can only answer one thing.
Well, if you want to answer two, we have. So Andrew
Okay.
had like a list of things. But,
Okay, if I could say two things.
Oh, sure.
Okay, one, I would say to the 70s, to the early 70s, because it was such a radical time, and things were more laid back in some ways, but yet it was so radical too. I mean, there were, I was there in the early, but I was very small, so I really miss the 70s. I do. So there's that. And then, but I would say also artistically and aesthetically, as a dancer, and for the clothes and the style, I really like the kind of mod style, the early 60s, the late 50s, Bridget Bardot, that whole kind of realm, the cat eyes, and I love that stuff. So, and I love the Technicolor films and the dance, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not very space oriented.
Yeah.
So I don't look to.
Yeah, that's fine. It's always, it's always nice to, we have a lot of things that we're up to, but then it's just like this kind of, it's always interesting, different people's perspective. Like there's one person I interviewed, and they said, I just want to be in the present. You know, there's no time.
That's very cool.
You know, yeah, exactly. Or somebody in the future, or someone said, you know, some show, you know, guys, they're into the football thing, and they're like, yeah, in 1978, this particular game. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, so it's always interesting to see different people's answers.
Yeah, it is such an individual. I would never think of a football game ever.
Yeah, I'm like, football, where much less they had like, okay, the football, the team, the year, the score. I was like, that's a lot. But you know, everybody, so it's always interesting to see. So that's the same thing. So yeah, you know, thanks again for joining us and sharing some of your story. Like I enjoyed your performance, and you know, like how
to
you
be a part of it. It was great to be a part of your
man.
event. So wonderful.
Oh yes, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you being a part of it. And you know, Andrew said, "Oh, this is like an interesting live, interview." But like you said, you know, people are more familiar with dance as therapy in the West Coast or New York. So you know, it's an honor to be able to say, "Hey guys, we got that in South Florida too."
Yeah. And thank you for giving me this platform to do this with you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. You know, get things just keep.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's there for. You know, I mean, I think 11 plus years of working with so many amazing artists and organization and grassroots people and organizations. And so it's just like, what can I do to share that work? So I liked, you know, like I love that people come out to my events and get that, but it's just like kind of, you're there with the people locally. But this, you know, there's people international, there's people in other states and things like that, so can get that benefit. So
yeah, it's great.
Yes,
it's great.
absolutely.
It's great to be here.
So thank you, and I see smiles. You're just coming on. We're literally wrapping up. But for those who may be seeing this for the first time, every Tuesday, 8:30 to 9 p.m., sometimes a little over, we're here sharing stories from the creative community, activists, social entrepreneurs, lots of great stories. So on Instagram, it's Niki Lopez 19. It's only there for 24 hours. So if you want to go back, you know, please go back and see the whole live. It was a really interesting interview today. And but it's always on Facebook under Niki Lopez Creative. And so if you go to the video section, you'll see all the videos. We've been doing this work for over a year now. Started last year, January, and I'm gonna keep rocking and rolling for as long as I can. So I appreciate you guys being here, and if you're gonna watch it on the replay, you know, be sure, you know, leave us comments, leave us feedback, leave us questions, and we'll get back in touch with you all. So thanks again for being here, and I will see you guys. Oh, and let me just throw in a little plug there, because some of you know I do art and film, and so I'm going to be at the Pompano Cultural Center May 30th. So I'll probably speak a little bit more about it next week, but you know, just to kind of put it on your radar, I'll be screening my short film, Caress, and talking about my art, and also like healing and art and What's Your Elephant. So you know, if you're local, definitely come and check it out. So sayonara. Bye, Boomy.
Bye, Boomy.
So in this